The Koh-i-Noor is one of the largest, most famous, and legendary diamonds in the world. But in history, the Koh-i-Noor became known as a cursed diamond. According to legend, it brings misfortune to its male owners. Of its 20 male owners, 18 died violent deaths. The Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan was overthrown by his own son in the 17th century and spent the last 8 years of his life in the captivity. His son, Aurangzeb, died, leaving the Mughal Empire in the decline and near total defeat. Another owner of Koh-i-Noor, Nader Shah, the Persian ruler, became paranoid and was killed by his own officers. Then Shah Shuja Durrani, the ruler of Afghanistan, was overthrown by his people and fled his country. Finally, Duleep Singh, the last Maharaja of Punjab, was forced to give his country and the Koh-i-Noor diamond to the British. And for more than 100 years now, only women in the British royal family have worn the Koh-i-Noor. Today, let's try to follow the difficult history of a diamond and try to understand the myths around it. The Koh-i-Noor is a colorless oval diamond, weighing 105 carats. Today it's set in the crown of the late Queen Elizabeth II. It lies behind bulletproof glass and quietly shines in the Tower of London, where the British crown jewels are kept. The story of the Koh-i-Noor begins around the 13th century, although as a mineral it appeared about 1 billion years ago. The diamond was found in one of the Indian mines in the Golconda region, an area known for producing unique diamonds. The earliest confirmed weight of the Koh-i-Noor is 186 carats, or 38 grams. To help you understand the size, the photo shows a ring with a 4-carat diamond. The price of such a ring depends on the quality of the diamond, but it can cost about $100,000. Originally, the Koh-i-Noor was 40 times larger than this diamond. Until the 15th century, the diamond was owned by Indian Rajas, who ruled the territory where the southern states of India are today. The first reliable mention of the Koh-i-Noor was made by Zaharuddin Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. In 1526, Babur began conquering regions of India. Among the treasures he captured, he noted a famous diamond weighing a little more than 180 carats. This was the Koh-i-Noor. At that time, the diamond didn't yet have its name. In his writings, Babur described a huge stone, praising its unusual size and value, which, according to him, was equal to the total daily expenses of the whole world for 2.5 days. Babur kept the Koh-i-Noor, like his other trophies, in the treasury in Agra, India. Over time, the Koh-i-Noor passed to his son, and after several generations, it came to his descendant, in the 5th generation, Emperor Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan is best known for building the Taj Mahal, but he also owned one of the most luxurious collections of jewels in history. He had a strong passion for precious stones, and tried all his life to surround himself with luxury. In 1635, the Peacock Throne was made by his order, one of the most luxurious thrones in human history. The Peacock Throne was made of gold, diamonds, emeralds, and rubies. It was considered the most expensive throne in the world. Its cost was 10 million rupees, twice as much as the cost of building the Taj Mahal. The throne contained about 21 tons of gold alone. The throne had 4 columns, supporting a canopy, under which the emperor sat. It was decorated with 2 peacocks, with tails made of precious stones. The name Peacock Throne came from these figures. The work on the throne lasted 7 years. More than 26,000 precious stones were used to make it, including, of course, the Koh-i-Noor. The diamond was placed in the upper part of the throne, directly above the ruler's head. In 1638, Shah Jahan was overthrown by his own son, and kept in captivity for 8 years. There the former ruler died, surrounded by his beloved jewels. His grandsons and heirs fought among themselves, and in the end they lost both his treasuries and the Mughal Empire. In 1739, the Persian ruler Nader Shah invaded Delhi. He captured the Peacock Throne and all the treasures of the Mughals. The throne was taken apart, and all its gold and precious stones were taken from it. When Nader Shah saw the huge diamond shining brightly in the light, he exclaimed, "Koh-i-Noor." In Persian and Urdu, this means mountain of light. From that moment, the stone was no longer nameless and received its name. Soon after this, Nader Shah was killed, and the diamond passed to one of his grandsons. This was followed by a period of brutal power struggles. Sons killed fathers, fathers killed sons, and the Koh-i-Noor changed hands again and again. In 1813, the Koh-i-Noor came into the possession of Ranjit Singh, the founder of an independent Sikh empire. He obtained the diamond by forcing the overthrown Afghan ruler, Shah Shuja Durrani, who was seeking refuge with him, to give the stone as thanks for protection. When Ranjit Singh first received the diamond, he fixed the Koh-i-Noor to the front of his turban, mounted an elephant, and rode several times through the main streets of the city, so his people could see the diamond in his possession. In his palace, the diamond was kept not in the treasury, but in a secret place, under the bedroom, a place that only 3 people could access. After Ranjit Singh's death, a struggle for power, murders, and intrigue began in the Sikh Empire. Members of the dynasty almost destroyed each other. As a result, the ruler of the Sikh Empire became the last surviving heir of Ranjit Singh, the 10-year-old Dulip Singh. On March 29, 1839, Maharaja Dulip Singh was escorted to the mirror throne hall of the Shish Mahal Palace. The boy found himself surrounded by a group of strong men in red uniforms and parrot hats, speaking a language he didn't understand. At a public ceremony, Dulip Singh signed a formal act of submission, announcing the annexation of the Sikh Empire by Britain. A few minutes later, the flag of the Sikh Empire was lowered, and the flag of the British Empire was raised above the palace gates. The document signed by the 10-year-old Maharaja transferred large parts of the Sikh Empire to the British East India Company, as well as the object considered the most valuable in the entire subcontinent, the Koh-i-Noor diamond. Official documents say that along with the territory, he voluntarily gave the Koh-i-Noor to the British Crown as a gift. However, the reality was darker. His mother was imprisoned, all his advisors were killed, and the boy himself was given no real choice: sign the document or you will not stay alive. As an adult, Dulip Singh made attempts to get the Koh-i-Noor back, but all of them failed. In 1850, the Koh-i-Noor was sent to Britain, to Queen Victoria. The diamond was transported to England on the ship HMS Medea, under strict security measures. One of these measures was placing the diamond in a large iron safe. The safe was locked with 4 keys. 2 were kept by the captain, and 2 by his officers.
They're keys. And I'll bet one of them fits that door.
And here began another series of events, which later led people to call the Koh-i-Noor cursed. On April 6, the ship left Bombay for England, but 10 days after departure, a cholera outbreak started on board. 2 over 135 crew members were found dead in the hold, and others began to complain of nausea. At that time, cholera outbreaks could destroy entire crews, and surrounded by the Indian Ocean, the captain of the Medea could do nothing to stop the spread of the disease. The captain decided to land in Mauritius to get food and medicine. But when the ship approached the island, frightening local residents threatened to open fire on it. They were afraid that the British would bring the disease to the island. Exhausted and sick with fever, the crew of the Medea continued their journey to England without treatment or medicine. But after leaving Mauritius, the ship faced a new danger. It sailed directly into a huge storm. Strong winds threw the crew across the ship, and the rigging was stretched to its limits. The storm was so powerful that at one point the Medea was in danger of breaking apart completely. But by some miracle, with great difficulty, the Medea reached England on June 30, 1850. By that time, the newspaper had already announced the arrival of the Koh-i-Noor. Crowds gathered at the dock to see the legendary diamond on British soil. The official presentation of the Koh-i-Noor to Queen Victoria took place on July 3, 1850, at Buckingham Palace. Later, Queen Victoria wrote in her diary, "The stone makes me feel uneasy. It's beautiful, but its history is heavy. She rarely wore it herself, preferring to place it in a brooch or a crown for official events, but never for personal use. In 1831, the Koh-i-Noor was presented to the British public at the Great Exhibition in Hyde Park in London. It was meant to symbolize the power of the British Empire, which had conquered vast territories and the most famous diamond in the world. At the exhibition, the Koh-i-Noor occupied one of the most honorable places in the eastern part of the central gallery. Its mysterious past, rumors of a possible curse, and the declared value of over £2 million sterling attracted huge crowds. It was expected that about 6 million people would visit the exhibition, one-third of the entire population of Britain at that time. But something unexpected happened. When the exhibition opened, visitors who had read in newspapers about a huge shining diamond, a mountain of light, and a magnificent powerful stone were completely disappointed. They expected a dazzling sparkle, but the stone, displayed in a simple case with gaslighting, looked dull and almost unattractive. Because of its old cut, the diamond looked very unimpressive by the standards of the time. People who managed to get closer to the Koh-i-Noor were left disappointed. Newspapers wrote about people's total disappointment. The magazine Punch even called it ironically the Mountain of Darkness. Soon visitors began to turn away from the Koh-i-Noor. An interesting fact: at the same exhibition, the first public toilets attracted much more interest than the Koh-i-Noor. To somehow fix the situation, Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, insisted on recutting the Koh-i-Noor. During the cutting, the stone lost about 33% of its weight, decreasing from 186 carats to 108. This significant loss was partly due to the removal of several defects in the diamond. This decision remains controversial to this day, because the stone in its original Indian cut had great historical and cultural value. Whether it was right to treat a historical relic in this way remains an open question. Traditionally, large high-quality diamonds are cut with 58 facets, but the jeweler added 8 more facets to the Koh-i-Noor to show its incredible brilliance more fully. That is why the Koh-i-Noor now has 66 facets. After 38 days of continuous work, the Koh-i-Noor was transformed into a sparkling oval diamond, in the form we know today. After the recutting, Queen Victoria showed the renewed diamond to Maharaja Dulip Singh, who had been living in Britain after the annexation of the Sikh Empire. According to witnesses, the Maharaja stood motionless for several minutes and could not say a single word. After the death of Queen Victoria, the Koh-i-Noor passed to Queen Alexandra. According to Victoria's will, the diamond couldn't be inherited by men. It was to be given only to queens or the wives of kings. This was influenced by the rumors and myths about the curse of the Koh-i-Noor, which was said to bring misfortune to male owners. Does the curse of the Koh-i-Noor really exist? According to some estimates, out of 20 male owners, 18 died violent deaths. The rumor that the Koh-i-Noor was cursed first appeared in the Indian newspaper Daily Gazette. Soon it was repeated in the Illustrated London News, and even Queen Victoria herself expressed concern about the curse. The answer is, of course, no. Most of the tragic events connected with its owners happened in an era of constant wars, palace coups, and violent struggles for power, when the violent death of rulers was more common than unusual.
Checkmate!
The diamond almost always belonged to people who were already at the top of the unstable empires. The story of the Koh-i-Noor is not a story about a curse, but an example of how rare and valuable objects attract ambition, conflict, and myths. In 1911, the Koh-i-Noor was set in the crown of Queen Mary, and it was moved to the crown of Queen Elizabeth. The crown, made of platinum, was decorated with many diamonds. but in the very center shone the Koh-i-Noor. Because of its fame and all the myths and legends around it, the Koh-i-Noor has often inspired popular culture. It appeared in one of Agatha Christie's early detective novels, The Secret of Chimneys. In the novel, the diamond is stolen from the Tower of London, and the search for it becomes one of the central parts of the story. In 2006, the Koh-i-Noor appeared in an episode of the science fiction series Doctor Who, where its history was given supernatural elements. Even today, strong emotions surround the diamond. It's the subject of diplomatic disputes. India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran have all demanded the return of the Koh-i-Noor at different times, referring to its historical origin. The dispute over the ownership of the Koh-i-Noor is strongest in India, which considers its Indians' property taken during the colonial period. Britain, in turn, insists that the transfer of the Koh-i-Noor in 1939 was legal. In 2023, there was discussion about whether the Koh-i-Noor would be used at the coronation of King Charles III. India officially asked not to use the diamond. In the end, the Koh-i-Noor was not presented at the ceremony. The crown with the diamond was removed from use to avoid scandal. The last time the crown with the Koh-i-Noor was displayed was at the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. Today, experts estimate the value of the Koh-i-Noor is about $1 billion, but this number is symbolic. The diamond is not for sale and cannot be purchased under any circumstances, which is why it's considered priceless. This day, anyone can see the legendary stone for £25, the price of admission to the Tower of London, where the crown jewels of the British monarchy, including the Koh-i-Noor, are kept. And this is where the story of the Koh-i-Noor ends for now. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel to see more interesting historical videos. And see you next time.